All right, it's a two-game slate tonight. Let's dive right into the action in the playoff race. This is Split Labs, your home for data-driven betting insights and playoff breakdowns. Game 1 features the Seattle Storm at 20-18, hosting the Indiana Fever at 19-18. Seattle sits in the middle of the playoff pack, while Indiana is clinging to the final spot with the Sparks right behind them. This matchup has huge implications. Seattle could secure a more comfortable seed with a win, while Indiana needs every game just to stay alive. And remember, Caitlin Clark is still sidelined with injury, leaving the Fever shorthanded. But here's what makes this game tricky. Indiana has actually taken the last two matchups this season. Tight wins at 94-86 and 78-74. So you'd think the Fever would get a little more respect. Instead, the market still makes Seattle the clear favorite at -178, with nearly all the money backing them. Why? Depth, momentum, and health. The Fever are still missing Caitlin Clark and leaning on a short rotation, while Seattle comes in on a 3-game win streak. So it's history versus market confidence tonight. Public money is all over the Storm, 76% of spread bets and 78% of spread money on Seattle -3.5. The money line is even more lopsided. 93% of the money is backing Seattle at -178. For totals, bettors lean slightly to the over 168 with 65% of tickets. Now about that 168 total, look at the last 4 meetings: 152, 180, 167, and 166. That averages out to 166 points, basically right on the number. 2 games went under, 2 went over, so it's truly a coin flip territory. Based on the data, Seattle ML -178 looks like the safest play, although it's a very juiced line. Seattle -3.5 has both majority bets and money, showing confidence in a cover. And then here's the debate. Totals. The line is 168. In their last 4 head-to-heads, 3 landed at or below that number, averaging out to 166. But 65% of bettors are still on the over. Without Caitlin Clark in the lineup, and with playoff intensity tightening up possessions, we actually lean slightly to the under, even though the over has been a trendy public side. So on a pivotal 2-game slate, the Storm look primed to roll at home, while the Fever are fighting just to stay in the picture. Drop your picks in the comments, subscribe for daily data-driven breakdowns, and let's see who survives tonight's playoff push.
Real quick, if you're into breakdowns like this, you'll love what we've got going on at splitlabs.net. We track public betting splits across every sport. NBA, MLB, NFL, you name it. Plus matchup insights, team rankings, and even prop predictors to help you spot edges before the lines move. This isn't just picks. It's the same data the books are using to set prices, and we make it easy to read and actually use. You can try it free for 7 days, and if you like it, use code YouTube for 50% off your first month. No BS, no sportsbook affiliation, just clean, transparent data for smarter betting. All right, back to the breakdown.
All right, let's close out the slate with Game 2. Phoenix Mercury at 22-14, traveling to Los Angeles to face the Sparks, who sit at 17-18 and on the bubble. Let's start with the obvious. Phoenix has owned this matchup. In their last 5 meetings, the Mercury are 5-0 against the Sparks. We're talking about consistent wins. 85-80 earlier this season, 89-86 back in May, 85-81 last September, 84-78 in July, and a 92-78 blowout in June. The pattern here? These games are usually competitive. 3 of the last 5 were decided by 6 points or less, but Phoenix keeps closing. That's why the books keep shading them as favorites, even on the road. It's not about LA being bad, it's about Phoenix knowing how to finish this matchup. And this ties directly into what Kelsey Plum said recently. She called out her Sparks team for their lack of defensive effort. And she's right. You can see it in the numbers and the eye test. They've given up 85, 89, 92, and 87 points in 4 of those last 5 head-to-heads against Phoenix. That's not just bad luck. That's a defensive scheme that hasn't been able to slow down the Mercury's attack. The Sparks have the offensive weapons, Plum, Hamby, Jackson, but their defense keeps putting them behind the 8 ball. When you're leaking 85 to 90 points a night to the same opponent, you're not just unlucky, you're outmatched on that end. Now, let's check the Split Labs data. On the spread, it's Mercury minus 3.5. The tickets are almost split, 54% on Phoenix, 46% on LA. But look at the money. 80% of the money is on Phoenix, 3.5. That's sharp saying, yeah, history repeats itself. On the money line, it's even clearer. 77% of bets and 89% of money are on Phoenix minus 192. That's about as one-sided as you'll see without a super heavy favorite. So here's how I see it. The public still wants to believe in LA's playoff desperation, but the sharper money trusts the data. Phoenix wins this matchup and covers more often than not. Now let's talk totals. The line sits at 178, and here's where it gets interesting. 66% of tickets are on the under. 55% of the money is also on the under. Okay, so both the public and sharps are leaning low scoring. But do the head-to-heads back that up? Let's do some quick math. 85 and 80 equals 165. 89 and 86 equals 175. 85 and 81 equals 166. 84 and 78 equals 162. 92 and 78 equals 170. That's an average of 167.6 points per game, well below tonight's 178 line. In fact, all 5 of those meetings stayed under 178. So, unless the Sparks defense collapses worse than usual, or both teams get into a shootout, the under looks like the right side, but not so fast. We'll get into this number. Every single one of these recent Mercury Sparks games has landed below tonight's total of 178. We just ran through it. 165, 175, 166, 162, 170. None of them touch this line. So why is the book hanging at this high again? Feels fishy, right? That's when you have to think like a Split Labs better. If they wanted to protect themselves against another under, they'd shade the number down. Instead, they've inflated it, almost daring the public to hammer the under. And sure enough, 66% of bets are on the under. That's why we're flipping the script. We're taking the over. If this game goes over 178, that means LA is finally scoring, pushing pace, and forcing Phoenix into a track meet. And in that scenario, Sparks plus 3.5 suddenly has life. Call us crazy, but if the Sparks cover, it's because they dragged this into a higher scoring game, and definitely didn't take Plum's advice. So here's the Split Labs best bet card for Game 2. Over 178. We're fading the public and trusting the fishy line. Sparks plus 3.5. If they push pace and keep it close, both tickets cash. So yeah, we're going against the grain here. Everyone sees under, we're saying over. Everyone thinks Phoenix rolls. We're saying the Sparks might finally punch back. That's the fun of betting the edges. Drop your thoughts. Are we crazy? Or are we catching the book in a setup spot? And as always, like, subscribe, and check out splitlabs.net. Use promo code YouTube for 50% off your first month to get all of the data you're seeing now.